turmoil and confusion when what they want is clarity.
Katie Razzle there in Bolton. Well, one of the central explanations for Labour's strong performance last week, my theory number one, was YouthQuick, the way in which Labour and Mr Corbyn engaged younger voters and persuaded them to turn out in higher numbers. We've got three people who fit that description, so we can delve deeper into why this happened and whether it's a permanent feature of our politics. Abby Wilkinson is the professional commentator here. She writes for The Guardian, amongst others. But with her is Eve Ray. She's 18 and from Brighton, and Thorrun Govind, who is 24 and does come from Bolton, where Katie's film was made. And you all supported Labour last week. Thorrun, why did you vote? Because you'd been a Tory voter before, hadn't you?
Yes, I voted Tory in the last election, but unfortunately the Tories haven't been considering the front line. Every day in my line of work I'm seeing vulnerable patients. I'm helping deliver their medication.
You're a pharmacist.
Medication reuse reviews. We're helping patients, but the government's not helping patients. And this was a real vote NHS election for me.
So it's about austerity, about public services.
About the NHS.
Eve, now you're 18, so you haven't voted before. We can't say you used to be a Tory.
Nope.
Why did you go for Jeremy Corbyn?
He gave me hope, personally, compared to any other party that campaigned and tried to get my vote. It was definitely Jeremy Corbyn that targeted the youth, targeted people like me, and said, this could be your country as well.
Have you always been quite political, or not been political at all? Or
I started around when I was about 15. My mum's always kept me in the loop, but it was definitely Brexit that got me in to all the politics.
So Brexit engaged you,
yes.
and you were a Remain supporter
yes.
at the time, right? Abby, what about you? I mean, you're Labour. We can't say you're a convert or anything like that.
Not at all. The country's not working for everyone, and it hasn't been for a while. Like these guys are saying, we need properly funded public services, we need opportunities. I think that the whole thing, that's really it for me, is this idea that the world actually can get better, the country can get better, our future can be better than the past, because at the moment it feels like we're in this state of decline, like employment rights are getting eroded, housing is getting more and more unaffordable. I just think Labour offered the chance of something better.
Can I ask whether you can think of something in the Corbyn campaign that really grabbed you, a moment, a line, a speech? Is there something?
It was the manifesto, the promise to halt cuts to community pharmacy. I mean, at the moment, it's a 20-minute walk for most people to their community pharmacy. With what the Conservatives have implemented, it's going to be much further, and it's the hope that they're giving me.
And did you believe I'm not asking this in a negative way. Did you believe everything in the manifesto, that the guy will deliver all of this, or did you think because it's quite a lot of spending in there, wasn't there? And
I don't trust any manifesto, but I have to believe that on these key issues like the NHS, the Labour Party have shown that they understand these issues.
Come on, Eve. What was the moment in the campaign? The line used, the speech you saw and were inspired by?
Obviously, for most people, it's for the many, not the few. That's hit me quite hard, and I like how he's trying in the manifesto to try and make spendings fair and the tax evasion. He's trying to get corporate tax. He's trying to make people earning over 80,000 pay their fair tax.
And he's a little bit equivocal about the EU, isn't he? He wasn't the feistiest campaigner for the Remain side, but that didn't put you off him?
No, it didn't, personally, because it wasn't as if David Cameron tried his very best.
Abby, what moment in the campaign? Because often I just wondered what actually people were clutching.
It was the manifesto launch when I thought, we could actually do it. Because I've always thought that a Labour government is better for the country. I've always thought that left of the Labour Party had the solutions. I think post-economic crash, we need quite a radical shake-up. But the manifesto came out, it had things for a lot of people, and I thought, people are going to like this.
So just to be clear, because sometimes people say the Corbyn thing, JC, the same initials as Jesus Christ, it's a bit of a cult of personality. You've all given policy things rather than Corbyn things. Or is it a Corbyn?
Well, I think there's this funny thing. He has got a fan club. There are young people on social media, like Jeremy Corbyn, the absolute boy. He's a great guy, but actually, undercutting that is a real sense that things need to change, and that, you know, it's possible to change things. And he's sort of a figurehead. It's not just about him. It's like, this is a movement of people who have bold ideas and believe it's possible for things to get better and necessary.
Eve, a lot of people have also said, trying to some extent dismiss the durability of the kind of movement that has emerged, I suppose, last week, is it's all about student fees, and whoever throws the biggest bribe of the largest number of people wins the election. And that, now, I think you're going to say, no, it's not about student fees, but was it about student fees?
Well, for me, my vote isn't about student fees. Right. However, because I decided early on that I was going to vote Labour, but then he came out with the student fees, and it just kind of sold it for me.
Right.
Loads of people.
And you believed it. You believed they would get rid of student fees. I'm not saying they wouldn't. I'm just saying you felt that was credible. Other people have said it and have not delivered it. And
I was hesitant to believe that it would happen in 2017, that early on, maybe 2018. But I believed him when he said that he would scrap them eventually.
Okay, now the other interesting aspect of this is where this sounds like ghastly sort of middle-aged man peering into the lives of younger people. I hate this kind of thing, but is where you get your media from, where you get your news from. I mean, what do you do? Is it all social media? Are you reading newspapers? What kind of stuff are you getting on social media?
I mean, I'm an avid tweeter all the time, mainly about pharmacy, but also about politics. And I think my Twitter feed's changed recently. I was following a lot of pro-Tory feeds, and suddenly it's become all about Labour. And I think there's nothing beats a Sunday morning with a newspaper. Maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned like that.
Right. Eve, what do you do?
No newspapers for me. I don't read those kind of things. I'm very much a social media person. The Canary.
Which social media are you getting news from?
I get a lot of social media news from Twitter. Personally, I don't trust Facebook. It's more of an old person's kind of...
But when you say from Twitter, what do you mean? Is it clips from Newsnight, or is it clips from wild, unsourced allegations made by somebody?
It's facts a lot of the time. It's stating facts. It's when it's got links behind it. It's got evidence behind it.
And you read it carefully, do you? Sort of.
Yeah,
you don't just accept it.
I don't want a fact without evidence. So.
I think one of the most interesting things about this election is how much money the Conservatives spent on social media, and how the Labour Party managed to reach far more people with a fraction of the spending, just because young people and older people were so enthusiastic about what they're offering. They were sharing it organically and showing their friends. I think Momentum spent £2,000 on its Facebook ads, and they reached 12.7 million people in the last week in Facebook ads. The Tories spent £1 million on Facebook and did not have the same reach.
Okay, last and really important question. Is this going to come the next election? Do you think you and your peers will behave in the same way as you did in this one, or do you think you'll revert to the stereotype of not going out, perhaps not being quite as engaged? Do you think you'll stick with it, Eve?
I think Corbyn has created such a wave.
Even if he's not there?
It depends who replaces him. But Corbyn himself has created a wave.
Will you go back to the Tories, Thorrun?
I think I'm going to have to consider the manifestos and what they actually deliver. I mean, we could still have another election yet.
But you don't like paying high taxes.
I don't like paying high taxes, but I don't want to see people suffer, and I don't want to return to the nasty party.
Thank you all very much. Thanks, Thorrun. Thanks. Now, in a story that was seemingly designed for the great pun machine that is Twitter, we learned today that there will be no goats harmed in the writing of the Queen's speech. The parchment on which it is written is called Goat's Skin.